There we go. Welcome to the Board of Commissioners, and welcome to, I'm a little worried of who's manning the hospital because half of them are here. Hopefully the patients are in good care. We are going to start this meeting with an invocation by Reverend Alex Wilkie, retired Baptist minister. Reverend.
Dear Lord, today as we pray for this meeting, we are thankful for the erection cranes are gone from the building's constructions, for the help that the commissioners gave to the city of Ivins for the new golf course that is being constructed on the lava fields. One day a great golfer will play on this course. The news will be given to all people living in the area. Now we pray for each commissioner at this meeting today. For those in attendance, may the Lord God bless each of us in attendance. And this we give thanks in the name of the Lord our God. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Reverend, for your participation on the Interfaith Council. Thank you. We'll now have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Sergeant Carl Kulik from the Marine Corps. Sergeant. Thank you, Sergeant, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
To our country, and I also want to thank our deputy here for being with us today. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, which is a means of expediting the consideration of routine matters. If a commissioner requests that items be removed from the consent agenda, those items are placed at the beginning of the regular agenda. Other than requests to remove items, a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda is not debatable.
Mr. Chair, my motion is as follows. For item A, consideration of auditor approved claims for payment for June 7th, 2023 through June 20th, 2023. Item B, consideration of regular commission meeting minutes of June the 6th, 2023. Item C, consideration of special commission meeting minutes of June 8th, 2023, as swearing in. Item D, consideration of administrative adjustments for real property. Item E, consideration of administrative adjustments for personal property. Item F, consideration of additional service requests to contract for architectural and engineering construction documents for the EOC building at Legacy Park. Item G, consideration of revised application for residential substance abuse treatment programs for fiscal year 2024. And item H, consideration of social service block grant renewals for fiscal year 2024, and that's my motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. First item on the regular agenda is a presentation by the St. George Regional Hospital. I'm not sure which of the 30 people is going to handle that, but we'll, Dr. Carroll and friends.
Beautiful facility. I mean, I was spied in coming in here thinking, my goodness. So it's a pleasure to be here. I would like to introduce, as you already know, Dr. Patrick Carroll, the medical director for the Desert Region, as well as our own beloved St. George Regional Hospital. Don Cannon, stand. He is the finance director for the hospital. Jordan Merrill, the Community Health Program Manager for St. George Regional Hospital. Terry Draper, the Marketing Communication Director for the Intermountain South Region. And Becky Bronson, the Marketing Communication Manager for the Desert Region Hospitals. We are so tickled to be here. Mitch Cloward is in Las Vegas at meetings for the Desert Region on Tuesdays, and so we'd like to excuse him, but he's here in spirit. You'll see him several times on the slide presentation that we have. Thank you so much for your continuing support. As you've seen St. George Regional Hospital grow and develop, I've had the privilege of either being on the foundation board or the governing board since 1996. And I have seen it grow from the hospital on 400 East Campus to burgeoning now to hospitals all over the area. And so without your support, it would be impossible to flourish the way it has. And especially I'm extra proud of the hospital that will be in Hurricane. That was a prime reason for me to continue to be involved, because 5 million people going to Zion, we needed some help out east. So thank you so much for that. First of all, I know your time is limited. I want to show you a video about some of the new programs and services coming online for Washington County. Now, am I supposed to click something? Oh, okay. Do you want to do the... I promise Patrick will get to talk in a second.
And change is necessary for growth and to move forward in strong and healthy ways. Hi, I'm Mitch Cloward, Intermountain CEO of St. George Regional Hospital. As we evolve to best serve the needs of our community, we are laser focused on decreasing the cost of care, improving access to care, and helping people live the healthiest lives possible. So let's take a look at some of our latest changes.
Hi, I'm Jared Stevens, the Emergency Department Director for St. George Regional Hospital. We are so excited to open a 24/7 emergency department on our Hurricane campus. We'll be able to provide care for most injuries and illnesses right in Hurricane, and if needed, we will stabilize and transfer the most critical cases to our Level 2 Trauma Center in St. George. The new freestanding emergency department shares the campus with our imaging center, rehabilitation services, and family medicine. We're also excited to announce construction will begin soon on a 24/7 emergency and primary care facility near Exit 2 on I-15. Intermountain Desert Color Parkway Emergency Services will support the growing Sun River and Desert Color communities. Quick access, the highest quality care, and hospital ER services are expanding in southern Utah.
Hi, I'm Dr. Warren Butterfield, Director of Intermountain's first orthopedic urgent care located in the Health and Performance Center in St. George. This center makes it possible to have direct access to specialized orthopedic care. We treat torn ligaments, sprained broken bones, and other common orthopedic injuries not severe enough to require hospitalization. We also have an on-site x-ray, musculoskeletal ultrasound, and the ability to splint, cast, and repair simple lacerations, broken bones, and dislocations.
Hi, I'm Cheyenne Ames, the charge nurse here at the Intermountain Surgery Center in St. George. We offer same-day urology and orthopedic surgeries with high-quality outcomes at lower cost. We gain efficiencies by focusing on only these specific types of surgeries. Our new center features 4 specialized operating rooms, along with diagnostic and preventative procedures, making it easier and more affordable to access needed surgical services while maintaining high standards and outcomes.
Hi, I'm Joelle Jacobson, Administrative Director of St. George Regional Hospital. We are proud to partner with Primary Children's Hospital in bringing increased pediatric mental health support to our area. Everyone who supported our Jubilee of Trees helped raise the funds for the new partial hospitalization program we are developing. This involves more intense therapies for kids who need them without an inpatient hospital stay, including a variety of mental and behavioral health resources for children, as well as clinic and telehealth care.
Intermountain St. George Regional Hospital is a national award-winning hospital. We strive every day to make sure you're getting the best care. Yet all of these awards only serve to underscore what our entire community already knows and loves. And that is, our hospital's success lies in the hands of our exceptional, dedicated caregivers. Each provide the highest quality standard of care with true caring, dedication, and compassion. So amidst the importance of change, the one thing that hasn't changed and will never change is our focus on you, your families, your loved ones, and our community to help you live the healthiest lives possible.
Isn't that amazing? There should be one more slide. Our mission, first and foremost, is helping people live the healthiest lives possible. And our bold ambition is to be the model, be the model system, keep people healthier for less while delivering. And now look at all the awards that we have received. The thing that sticks out to me is that we are ranked #2 hospital in Utah and rated high performing in these 15 specialties. And that's taken a lot of work and a lot of dedication by all of the people that run St. George Regional Hospital and the Desert Region. So we are very, very proud to have that opportunity. So I'm going to hand it off to Patrick, since he can talk to you any questions that you might have about any and all of those best rated awards that we have received. Thank you so much for your support.
Thank you, Cindy. Cindy's as mentioned, our board chair of the governing board at St. George Regional Hospital, and what a great person. She's a volunteer board member. She doesn't get paid for the work she does. Our entire board is volunteer board members because they represent the community. Let's go to the next slide. We're certainly very proud of being ranked #2 in the state of Utah, and like Cindy mentioned, that doesn't happen without a lot of dedication. Commissioner Snow, you raised an important concern of who the heck is running the hospital right now if we're all here. And there's there's a lot of doctors still left at the hospital, but I'm going to go out on a limb. I don't think it's a very dangerous limb, and say there's hundreds of nurses at the hospital right now. And I know you were joking, but I do think it's worth underscoring that the nurses, the work they do, what they do to care for patients day in, day out, night in, night out, is absolutely impressive. And we could have every administrator leave the hospital for extended periods of time, and the hospital would run, the patients would receive wonderful, wonderful care, because they're the lifeblood of what we do. You can see here on this list, each of you has probably had family members, friends, perhaps yourself, that may have dealt with some of at least one of these situations. Maybe it's your father that's had a heart attack. Maybe it's a grandfather that's dealt with cancer. Maybe it's a wife or a daughter that has given birth to a child. These are the top 15 specialties that were rated highly in. And those are objective measures that U.S. News and World Report uses. It's not a popularity contest. Say, here you go. It's not based on donations. We don't buy these awards based on objective measurements. Next slide, please. So you've heard reference to the Desert Region. Intermountain has expanded over the last several years. And we we're in 8 states at this point. The majority are still in the state of Utah. But we believe strongly that what we do as an institution organization, we shouldn't keep to ourselves. If we can benefit patients beyond the previous borders, we should. We want to provide that care. Next slide.
Going back to that,
Please.
Doctor, so the Desert Region, I know it consists of St. George
Yes.
and Vegas. How much of Nevada, and do you go into...
Let's go back to that slide. It's a great question, Commissioner Iverson. So you can see the regional headquarters and then hospitals. So the dark blue dots are hospitals. So there's just the 3 hospitals in the Desert Region, and that's St. George Regional Hospital, Cedar City Hospital, and Garfield Memorial Hospital. In Panguitch. We do have a presence in Las Vegas with a medical group that provides care to about 100,000 residents of Las Vegas. But Intermountain doesn't own a hospital in Las Vegas or in the state of Nevada. And so you can see some of the other sides. What you see a lot of is that red circle, and those are our classic AirMed bases. So Intermountain acquired Classic Air, and that aligns nicely with the geographic location so that we can align the care of our patients with the offices and physician practices as well as with hospitals. So, great question. Let's go to the next slide, please. So you can see here kind of that scope. 7 states, being said 8, over 1 million members of Select Health, 3,900 employed physicians and APPs. We have about 3,500 total employees or caregivers, as we refer to them, here in Washington County. So it's a tremendous number that serves the community. Next slide. Importantly, we're a not-for-profit hospital, and that's primarily why we're here today, is we have a responsibility to provide a report to you all as county commissioners to make sure that, I'm going to use the term, that you're getting your money's worth. Being a not-for-profit hospital, we're committed to caring for patients regardless of what they need and regardless of their ability to pay. And we'll highlight some of that on some subsequent slides. Next slide. You all received this handout as you came in, and that just has a lot of information, statistics on it. It shows 2021 versus 2022 number of patients treated. It's somewhat sobering to see, how many patients do require hospitalization. It's pretty exciting to see how many babies are born every year. And so there's some really, I hope, information that you'll find very valuable on that slide. Next slide. So in order for us to maintain our status as a not-for-profit hospital, there's certain requirements. There's state requirements and there's federal requirements. And you see those listed here. I won't read through each of these, but on the next slide we see some of those highlighted. We'll go there. So we have to establish that we promote healthcare and provide financial assistance to the general public. We have to be organized as 501c3, a not-for-profit entity. Our net earnings can't go back to shareholders. That's critical. That's a really, really important distinction between us as a not-for-profit hospital and what we would be if we were a for-profit hospital. And that is, you are the shareholders. You three individually, not because you're county commissioners, but because you're members of the community. So the 180,000 people that live in Washington County, the 250,000 people that live in the 5-county area, you are our shareholders that we have a responsibility to provide service back to you. We have to admit and treat all people without discrimination. That's really important to us. And importantly, with no discrimination for ability to pay. So we don't do what I refer to as a wallet biopsy and say, well, what insurance do you have? Sorry, we're not going to take you. We're going to stabilize you in the emergency department and send you out. We don't do that. We take care of patients regardless of insurance. The governing board represents the community. It's broad, it's diverse. Our governing board, I believe that we have the best board in, is it the nation or the universe, Terry? Our governing board is filled with wonderful, wonderful people that care deeply about the community. We must establish, we have to report to the equalization board, that's you, to demonstrate that we are fulfilling these things. Here is our board, so you can see, not only are they a phenomenal board, it's a good-looking group of people too. Next slide. So this is literally or figuratively the money slide. Were we a for-profit facility, we would have a tax bill of $3.8 million. That's a lot of money. And so one might say, wow, there's a lot of things that could be done with $3.8 million. The trade-off is we provide nearly $26.5 million in charity care. What we do for the community far outweighs what we would pay in taxes, and we're happy to do that. In fact, we're very proud to do that. Next slide. So here's how some of that breaks down to some additional things. $500,000 community service and education, $1.7 million for clinics serving underserved populations. This is unique. Intermountain Medical Group, whether a patient has insurance, doesn't have insurance, that's not how the physicians are paid. They're paid independent of that. And so it's very easy for our physicians to say, yes, we're going to take care of any patient. Again, we don't do that wall biopsy. We don't say, well, we already met our cap of Medicare patients, and so you're going to have to find a new doctor. Our physicians take all patients in the clinics. We take all patients in the hospital. Health professional education, $2.8 million worth of education. And that's in a variety of different ways. Medical schools, nursing schools, paramedic schools, And then volunteer service, including people like Cindy Gilbert on our governing board, but many other people at the hospital who do a phenomenal job. Next slide, please. We do a survey every year. This is a requirement for us to identify what are the health needs of the community. So we ask the community, we pull together a group of stakeholders in the community and ask that question. And here are the number 1, 2, and 3. Number 1, improve mental well-being. Number 2, improve chronic and avoidable health outcomes. And number 3, address and invest in social determinants of health. Touch on these very briefly. Mental well-being. We recently expanded our behavioral health unit from 18 beds to 24 beds. 33% increase. I just, as I was coming in today, was speaking to a member of our community whose loved one was admitted to our behavioral medicine unit in the last 24 hours. And I shared with this individual, we just expanded, and had we not done that, we may or may not have been able to transfer this patient from another hospital. I'm super proud that we were able to do that. We were able to accept this patient back to their community from an outlying hospital. Chronic and avoidable health conditions, focusing on things like diabetes, focusing on things like COPD, like congestive heart failure, and trying to get upstream to figure out how can we help manage these, doing research studies, like how do we make sure the glucose remains stable so that people don't go into a diabetic ketoacidosis crisis. Number 3, address and invest in social determinants of health. Much of what impacts our health isn't our health, it's how we live our lives. And so how can we help out with some of those things? And we're very invested as a organization to do that. Next slide. I won't go through these one by one, although I wish we had the time to really list them and have each organization talk about all the great work they do. It would take a long time, and it'd probably be worth our time at some point in a future date. But nearly $5 million in cash donations. This is what we as a hospital have donated to these organizations that align with our mission, vision, and values, and your mission, vision, and values as a community to ensure the patients are being taken care of. And sometimes in doing this, that would mean that these are patients that otherwise might come to the hospital, don't come to the hospital. And that would, in a for-profit model, we might say, oh, we should do that. This patient would come to the hospital, we generate more money for us. Instead, we give up that money and we pay money to help people stay out of the hospital. Very proud to do this and happy to do it. Next slide. The thing I'll say more than anything else is I am extremely proud to be part of what I believe is really a world-class organization. We take it very seriously to the responsibility we have to be prepared for any patient that comes through our doors, whether that's a stroke, whether that's a heart attack, whether that's any number of maladies. It's our responsibility to be ready for that and to serve the community, and we're humbled to do it and honored to do it. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any additional questions that any of you may have.
Go ahead.
Well, you've been great, and I know in the last 5 years we've had some pressures nobody thought any hospital would have to endure, and you adjusted. You welcomed us in under circumstances where patients and ourselves were safe to see what stresses you were under. And I would say in the Intermountain area that you performed stellar in an environment where we kept Washington County basically open.
Thank you.
And despite the feelings that we have of those that lost loved ones, despite the best care you gave, we still felt that we balanced it out pretty well by keeping our doors open and at the same time asking people to take personal care of their health and follow certain guidelines that you put out. You know, if you feel sick, stay home and don't spread something. But at the same time, if you are, come and they got the best care they could get from you. So, thank you.
Thank you.
You know, it's been a few years since we had our celebration, 40th year anniversary, since the county made the deal with IUC to take over our county hospital. And I really appreciate those county commissioners that made that bargain, because I think it worked out well for our county, for our citizens, and I wouldn't want to be managing a hospital as far as a county hospital. So anyway, I think fondly of that celebration. How many years has it been? It's been about probably 6 years now, maybe?
Yeah,
4 or
it
5?
was
It's been a few. 2016, so anyway, but that makes me often reflect that I think we have a partnership that maybe other counties don't enjoy because there's a common history that we share together. And so anyway, thank you for the great investment in healthcare that you're doing here in our community and our county. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We take that commitment still very seriously to this day. In fact, in the last year, I can think of probably a dozen times where in our administrative meetings we've had conversation about that meeting. You've probably seen the video, A Handshake and a Promise, where we made a commitment to the county. We made a commitment to the community to be a model healthcare system and to take care of everybody, and that holds true today.
I would just echo as well, thank you. So my dad's a surgeon, as you and I already know. I grew up loving nurses, taking care of them, because they are the lifeblood of everything in his practice growing up. But thank you for everybody and just pass along our appreciation from the community at the hospital. My interaction has been nothing but 100% positive. Mitch and others always call back. You're very open and communicate regularly. And this exact week, a year ago, my dad was in your hospital because he had a very rare autoimmune issue that nobody knew about. It all of a sudden hit him, and the care he received on something that was really hard to diagnose, it took about 3 weeks to figure it out, couldn't have been better. And obviously he's still with us today. So thank you to your entire staff, Cindy and the rest of the board, and everybody at Intermountain Health. You do a fantastic job for the community, and we need you here, so thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be in the hospital on August the 11th, and I do want to make one request. You've taken off the menu, Terry knows this, the German chocolate cake that you used to have downstairs. Now, by August 11th, you better have a piece there.
Oh, check with his surgeon first and make sure
Smuggle
he's
it in.
allowed to have German chocolate cake, Terry, before he...
Commissioner
That may not-
Almquist, I can only say that we're going to do our best to fulfill that request, and I think fulfilling it will be Kinderspiel.
Kinderspiel. Oh, yes, I
Child's
like to play on words.
Yeah, German chocolate. Thank you.
Danke sehr.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a presentation by the Utah Department of Agriculture, Commissioner Craig Butters, on agricultural resources and programs available. Craig and Kelly, welcome to Zion and Paradise.
Yes, thanks for making the trip down.
Thank you for the opportunity to meet with you today. I'm Craig Butters, the Commissioner of the Department of Agriculture and Food, and I have my deputy, Kelly Pearson. So what we are doing is visiting with each one of the counties in the state. You happen to be the 29th county we're visiting, so I guess you could say we saved the best for last.
That's what we say,
You
yeah.
should be really good at this presentation if we're number 29.
And so we've got a slide presentation and a couple of videos that we'd like to show you, highlighting some of the programs that we have and some new legislative mandates that we've been given. So if you want to go ahead and advance the slide.
Commissioner, I'm just going to say, if we're 29th, that means you didn't come in January or February when you could have, down to the warmest part of the
that's true.
state. And yet,
Well-
feel the weather today. When we're talking agriculture, see, we are not the hot desert that everybody thinks from up north.
It's beautiful,
It is
statewide. I mean,
nice.
the trip down was beautiful. This is about the 4th time I've been down this direction in the last month, so we've been doing a lot of traveling lately. But the Department of Agriculture and Food began in 1896 with the formation of the Board of Horticulture, and then in 1921, the actual Department of Agriculture was formed by combining several different agencies. You can go ahead and advance. So here are some of the things that we do, some of the mandates that we have. We have general stewardship over agriculture in the state. That includes inspections, regulations. We also do consumer protection through those inspections and regulations. We have rulemaking authority to put into practice the legislation that we receive from the legislature. We also do loan assistance, pest and disease control, and marketing and economic development. Go ahead, next. This is a list of our divisions. We have 10 different divisions, and you can see I won't go through all of them, but one of our newest divisions is the Grazing Improvement Program, and that is a program that is now receiving a $5 million ongoing appropriation from the legislature. It provides water and resources for those who graze on public and private land to make better use of the resources that we have there. Also, we oversee the medical cannabis and industrial hemp program, which is something that if you would have told me 3 years ago I'd be overseeing a department that dealt with medical cannabis, I would not have believed you. So, but those are some of our divisions, and I'll turn the time over to Kelly for presentation.
Next slide, please. Commissioners, it's good to be with you. Good to come down to St. George. So, when Commissioner Butters came on board a couple years ago, it had been a long time since the Department of Ag had done a new strategic plan or revised our strategic plan. And so we went around the state all over and met with elected officials as well as ag producers and partners. And we wanted to hear their vision for for agriculture in their areas for the next 5 to 10 years, and what our role as an agency to help fulfill their vision for agriculture. And we came up with some goals from this strategic plan. And next slide, please. The first one is agri-structure. As many of you know, if you want to get your cow harvested right now, you're a year and a half out. And most of our cattle producers cannot feed their cows for an extra year and a half to wait to get it harvested. And this is a big issue for the entire state, not only for meat, but also for fruits and vegetables. A lot of our fruits and vegetables leave the state of Utah and get processed and never come back. And so we want to find ways to process a lot more in the state of Utah. The next goal is agriculture workforce. It's a worldwide issue that the average age of ag producers is around 60 years old. We got to get more young people into agriculture, and the only way we can do that is make it profitable. There's a lot of barriers to entry: the cost of land, the access to capital, finding labor. It's hard work, and the margins are thin. The commodity prices continue to stay rock bottom while inputs continue to increase. So we're trying to find ways to get people into agriculture in many different programs. Ag land preservation. This is even in rural areas. This has been something that's on everyone's mind. Commissioner and I just got back from Israel, and Israel does it right. They built in the hills and left their ag land alone for future generation. In the Wasatch Front, we did the opposite. We've built and developed ag land with the last crop you'll ever see with homes. And we're going to regret that someday. But we have many different programs, and we'll talk about some of the programs we established to help us preserve ag land here for in a minute. During COVID, it was hard to see how quick the food chain was disrupted. To go to the grocery store and see it empty, and so we're continually trying to find ways for Utah to be self-reliant, to find ways to do more diverse crops so that the food chain is not disrupted like it was. We know we can't grow everything here in Utah, but we can find ways to be more resilient and more self-reliant, and so we'll focus on that. Ag education. This is a big thing that we want to continue to do. We partner with Farm Bureau to do ag in the classroom to help teach our youth where their food comes from. It's sad to say some of them think that it's the grocery store. My kids probably do too. But we got to find ways to educate them of how important agriculture is, and also find other programs for people to get back into agriculture. I'm sure you heard 2 sessions ago, Utah State got a vet school that's coming in 2 years, and there's a huge demand for vets all over the state, especially large animal vets. In this session, we got $2.5 million to repay loans to those vets who work in rural areas. So we're excited about just different programs to get people into agriculture, not just behind the tractor. And then customer service is a big goal of ours. There's a lot of ag UDAF employees here, and we want to make sure that they are a partner with your ag producers in your county. We're a unique agency where we promote agriculture, but we also regulate it. and we have to be the good cop and the bad cop. And we want to make sure our employees are partners with our ag producers and not just blindside them with citations when needed. We want them to educate them and walk them through how to be the most successful and follow the right laws and regulations that we have. So if you hear that we aren't providing the best customer service, call us.
So for a minute, I'd just like to discuss some of the benefits of agriculture here in Utah. Of course, agriculture provides food, fiber, and animal feed for citizens not only in rural areas, but along the more urban Wasatch Front and other areas of the state. Agriculture strengthens our local food securities, as we've already mentioned. We create rural jobs, provide water and resources for wildlife. That's something that a lot of people don't really consider, but our irrigation systems provide a lot of water and resources for agriculture and for wildlife. We also have agriculture is a very large economic driver in the state. So at a glance here, Washington County, just an overview of the farms that you have. You have almost $16.5 million of market value ag products sold from your county. 537 farms with 155,000 acres of farmland. This data is 2017, so I'm sure there's been some changes here. But the average farm size is 289 acres with almost 13,000 acres of irrigated farmland. Your livestock accounts for about 61% of those ag products sold, and crops about 39%. As far as rankings in the state, you're number 4 in fruit, tree nuts, and berries, number 8 in horses, ponies, burros, and donkeys. And you can see there where you rank as a county. And so one of your top crops in acres is alfalfa, and that's one thing that we have a lot of messaging to do as far as alfalfa and the need to grow alfalfa and making it more efficient to use our agricultural water on alfalfa. So we're going to talk about some of our new programs at a glance, and the first one is our is our food security.
So I talked about the goals that we had for our strategic plan, and now I'm going to talk about some of the programs to help us to reach those goals. And we're actually going to send an email to all of you after this that has links to all these programs that you can share with your constituents. But the first one, if you go to the next slide, is to help us increase our processing in the state. 2 sessions ago, Commissioner Butters and I asked for funding for processing in around $36 million. We did get a pilot program for $1 million to see what data we could collect and what the need was for processing. With that first $1 million, if you go to the next slide, we were able to get 79 applicants, roughly about 14 million in request. We funded 17 grants, roughly from 10,000 to 150,000. And you can see on the map some of the places that we awarded these grants to. This session, we did get another $1 million for processing. And the application period just finished, and as we've collected the applicants, it's about the same data. We got about 85 applicants, roughly about 14 million, and so we'll be ranking those and awarding those here soon. So we're excited that this program continues to have a lot of need, and we also, I'm sure you heard that there's an agri-park being constructed or looked at in the middle of the state. They got $8 million in funding to try to maybe entice a lot of different processors to come to Utah. They want to build the infrastructure and purchase land and then have these private companies come here. So we're excited about this agri-park possibility in the middle of the state. We also were awarded 2 federal grants in the last month. The first one is a Regional Food Business Center program. This will allow us to partner with Utah State to hire 2 employees to help our ag producers apply for federal funding. There's a lot of federal programs out there, but our ag producers have a hard time understanding how to apply, what programs are best for them. So these employees will focus their time on helping them apply for this federal funding that's available. So we're excited about that program. The second one, we're just still finding out the final details, but the Resilient Food System Infrastructure Program. This will be a matching program to our pilot program that I just discussed about food processing. We think we're going to be awarded anywhere from $2 million to $3 million, and we'll be able to do more processing grants for those that applied for that program. So we're excited to have some federal funds to match our state funds. We have a video, hopefully it works. It should be embedded.
There's no mercy. Probably half of my time is spent trying to use the water as efficiently as possible. You lose a few $100,000 year after year, you know, it's a tough go.
We've had more dry years than we've had wet years, and I think that's become the norm.
The land is drier, the rangeland is drier. Springs that we could usually count on being there are drying up. So it's a scary time.
The department right now is in the process of working through our agricultural water optimization program, and this is a way that we can help farmers and ranchers use their water more efficiently. If the opportunity is presented, farmers and ranchers want to do better with the resources that they have.
They're reaching out to producers, they're reaching out to other individuals saying, hey, look, here's what we're up against, here's what we're facing. How can we overcome this? The Department of Ag is always there backing you up.
Change and conservation and best practices are changing and evolving, and I am very willing to evolve with them. With the help of UDAP and NRCS, we've been able to adapt those practices more quickly.
With the limited availability of water, by increasing the efficiency, even on these drought years, we may be able to farm nearly all of our acres. And so without some help from the state, I wouldn't be able to do this.
No one knows better than us the finite resources that we have here. So I don't think there's anyone that could care more about the land and its health and the balance than the people that are living on it and working on it. It's the lifeblood. We all understand water is our lifeblood. We do our best to conserve it and to use it wisely, because without it, we're nothing.
Okay, thank you. So a little bit of information about our water optimization program. It began in 2019 with a $3 million appropriation from the legislature. Since that time, we've had over $50 million across 276 projects, and projected water savings on those projects is over 172,000 acre feet. So the next round of applications has just recently been completed. This last legislative session, we were able to get a $200 million appropriation. So we are going to be very busy in the next few years putting that money on the ground in water irrigation projects that will maximize and optimize the use of our agricultural water. We know that water is it's a very precious resource. The next program I'd like to talk about is our Ag Stress Assistance Program. This is a cooperative effort between USU Extension Ag Wellness and the Department of Agriculture and Food. This is a program to help provide suicide and mental health counseling for at-risk individuals in the farming and ranching industry and their families. We also train producers on how that they can help community members who may be experiencing difficulties. And we also do training for 988 crisis line responders statewide.
One more video to show you.
We found that each county has a little bit different IT
The preservation of ag land is very important. As we go and look at the acreage that is being developed right now, much of it is acreage that I never thought I would see developed in my lifetime. A lot of farmers go out there and they talk about the development, and they say, you know, those houses are the last crop that is ever going to be planted out there on that property.
When you have a place that has importance like this, you kind of want to have it last, and conservation easements are the way to do it.
Conservation easement is essentially an agreement between a private landowner and a nonprofit or a state or a federal agency to limit the amount of development that takes place on a piece of property. Essentially what you're doing is you are purchasing the right to develop on that piece of property.
Working with the state and with the Nature Conservancy with our easement, we're really helping to protect a massive area of land that's critical for winter range, for migratory corridors, and it's really a special thing to know, you know, my kid can come back after I'm gone and be like, oh wow, you know, this is still the same. It still looks the same.
There isn't an inch on my either side that I haven't gathered the rock up, turned over the soil, so instead of being an investment, it now becomes part of my soul.
The protection of land utilized for agricultural production is one of the major goals that we have at the Department of Agriculture and Food. The Lee Ray McAllister program has been a very effective and a very useful program in the state of Utah over the last several years. Over $20 million has been put into the program, and well over $100 million in matches come in to be able to put this land into conservation easements. And so it's a very useful program, and I feel like it is continuing to build momentum.
Deciding to do a conservation easement on our ground was kind of a tough decision. I mean, we looked at it, and you know, the money situation is very different from whether you sell your ground or whether you put it into a conservation easement. And at the end of the day, we had to kind of look ourselves in the mirror and say, what's more important, our heritage, who we are, what we love doing, or money? And ultimately we decided that, you know what, it was worth the sacrifice to give up a little bit to be able to have the opportunity to do what we love.
Even people in the community, as they come, they know now that this property is going to remain open, that it will never be built on, and what a great legacy to leave our community.
That video explained it really well. The Lee Ray McAllister Fund has been with the state since the early 90s. However, in 2 sessions ago, they moved the Lee Ray McAllister Fund over to the Department of Ag, and now called the Lee Ray McAllister Working Farm and Ranch Protection Fund. We did get $3 million of one-time funding and 3 full-time employees to help administer this program. Again, it's a voluntary program between the landowner and us, you know, to buy those development rights to keep it in ag forever. They'll remain in private ownership. They can sell the land, but it will continue to be an ag easement forever. So we're excited about this program. The next slide talks about something that affected all counties this last session, House Bill 371. Any developer that purchases ag land has to pay that rollback taxes. 20% of that has to be dedicated to an easement or open space within your county. We hope that you'll use that 20% to come apply or have them apply for our program, and let us go match it with federal program to do more easements throughout the state.
So is that kind of the plan then, to work with the State Department of Ag?
It's really up to you guys. That's earmarked for you, and it doesn't have to be spent every year, so you can build it up. But we don't know, not many counties have the ability to do easements within their county, and we do. So if you want to match it with ours or encourage those landowners to come and apply for this program, we hope you do.
We probably ought to have you guys come back later and kind of help us establish a policy on that.
Yeah, and we plan on to. We actually hired the program manager that oversees it. Jeremy Christensen is his name, and he'll be coming around visiting with you and introducing himself, so to help you administer that program. So we're excited about that program. Hopefully that will help us to accomplish our goal to preserve ag land. Again, it's hard to get ongoing funding for this program with so much development going on in the state. And You know, and I come from San Juan County where there's not a lot of private land, and the thought of locking up land is hard to swallow. But this is good ag land. We're hoping it's working farm and ranches that we're hopefully keeping in ag land forever. So. Okay. I think we have a few more. Sorry. Yeah. This is one program that we haven't shared enough that's been very successful is anytime ag producers have some type of conflict with the federal government, which we know never happens, right? They never have conflict. They can use our mediation program for free. We have a full-time mediator that will work with the ag producer and with the federal government to dispute AUMs or grazing allotments. We hope that they will, instead of going to long, expensive litigation, they'll use our mediation program to maybe help them stay out of litigation. So the email, again, you'll get the emails there if you want to share it with any of your producers to use our free mediation program. We hope they will.
We could use that in some other areas too, so we'll keep that on.
Yeah. Well, and they'll mediate between private landowners too, so we just want to thank you once again for the opportunity of being here. We hope that you'll consider the Department of Agriculture and Food as an ally and a resource for you in agriculture questions that you have. And I know that this county, probably more than any county in the state, is seeing development pressure, and we hope that we can help you preserve your agricultural land, both counties and the municipalities, in whatever way that we can. So, thank you very much.
Well, no, thank you. I think the department does a great job, and your vision is forward-thinking. I mean, we've talked a lot about food security. We've talked about the way that we save local farms is to get more direct to the consumer, because over the last multiple decades, America has moved into this very corporate farm area, and it's hurting farmers, and frankly, it's hurting consumers. And I really appreciate the direction and leadership that you guys have shown, because I think Utah's leading out on it. And the agri-park, I think is great. We see what happens to our friends up the road with Beaver County losing Circle 4, Circle 3, or Smithfield, whatever banner they're flying now. And that has everything to do with processing it. So thank you for everything you do.
Yeah, thank you very much. I can tell you we are very pro-agriculture, and not only for our heritage from this county, but because it was a lot harder to farm some of this land than it was.
That's true.
The Heber Valley or other places. But appreciate the work you do. We've known each other a lot of years, done many, many tours. The GET program is great, and the things you guys do there. So thank you, and we want to keep agriculture in this county as well.
Please reach out to the municipalities, because as in our area, only a very small portion is in the county. But if the municipalities are where the ordinances and planning and land use really needs to apply, especially some of the rollback taxes and things like that, where people may not be aware of that as they convert. And just flying in on Saturday, I had a crystal clear view of the whole St. George metro area, Hurricane, etc. There's very little green left.
Well, I promise you we won't be visiting all the municipalities, but thank you for the opportunity of being here. We'll take that to heart, and hopefully we can work with the league in making some presentations there.
Thanks.
Thank you
so much. Appreciate you.
Okay, item number 3 is presentation, 3 presentations in a row. Presentation Amateur Radio Week. Brett Pruitt.
Hello, Commissioners. I am Brett Pruitt. I'm your emergency coordinator for the Amateur Radio Emergency Service in Washington County. Work very closely with your Emergency Services Department. They are wonderful to work with, so we appreciate them, and we stand ready to help with communication needs in the event of a disaster. We hope we're never needed. But the reason it's Amateur Radio Week, this weekend, over 700,000 hams in the United States will be participating in something called Field Day. Field Day is where we take our batteries, we take our radios, take our antennas, we go out to the field, and we talk to as many people as we possibly can. and make as many contacts as we can in a 24-hour period. This year, we will be just north of the Sun Bowl in the gravel parking lot there at 150 South, 400 East. You all are invited to attend.
Is that like speed dating for amateur?
There you go.
Is that-
There you go, something like that.
Okay.
And, it's a very quick contact, and we'll be having a lot of fun. We'll be in the emergency services tent with the air conditioning blowing high, so it'll be nice and cool in there. Everyone's welcome to attend and see what we do, and that's all I have for you today. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
We don't think about this as technology happens, cell phones, but how important amateur radio and ham radio, as a redundancy in our communications. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a fun time.
Great.
Item number 4 is consideration of proclamation number 22330-30, a proclamation declaring the week of June 19th as Amateur Radio Week in Washington County. Commissioner Almquist.
Well, that for 100 years or more, this voice broadcast has gone around the world in airways, and it is an essential item for backup, and let alone it can be a lot of fun. And I was present when several ham operators out in the Bloomington Hills area climbed to the top of Webb Hill and were talking to some folks over in Eastern Europe. So it's quite amazing what you do, and it's a lot of fun. So I would like to officially declare this week of June 19th through June 25th, 2023 as an Amateur Radio Week in Washington County.
Take that as a motion.
Yes.
And I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
And a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Item number 5 is a couple of longevity awards. First is Salome Burgess with the Treasurer's Office for 10 years. Treasurer Whitehead.
It is an honor to be here to present Salome with her 10-year anniversary check for $10,000. Is that what she gets for this?
You are the treasurer, so you write the checks.
We won't tell anybody. Salome has been here for 10 years. First 8.5 years, she was working as a deputy clerk, pretty much on a front window, talking to the public. For the last 1.5 years, she has moved into the chief deputy treasurer role in our office. The selection process that I went through in try to find someone to replace Brenda was difficult, but I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I made the right decision. She is an awesome person to work with and to work for. I've asked our employees just to give a comment or two, just to give you an idea of how she relates to the rest of the treasurer's staff. Salome is a really hard worker. She is always looking for ways to help us in the office and in our family and in our family activities. I really appreciate her so much. Salome is easygoing, easy to get along with, quick thinker, and a problem solver. Salome is a go-getter. She doesn't let any grass grow under her feet. She accomplishes jobs and tasks faster than anyone I know. We joke with her that she has superhuman powers. She puts us all to shame, but we love her. She's the best. Salome is easygoing, which makes it easy to get along with her. She is very quick and efficient at work. I appreciate her willingness to help us with any tasks that need done. She leads by example. So she has the utmost respect of the staff that we have in the treasurer's office, and I might add, Salome is very easygoing, and her demeanor is very conducive to working with public. May have to deal with difficult people at times. She handles those very smoothly and very with ease, not aggressive at all. But I think the best thing about Salome is that she loves her family. She loves and serves her family like nobody I have ever seen in my life. And so I am honored and grateful that I can work with Salome. Okay, now you have your speech.
Pretty high praise. That's what it is. All right, and also another Employee Longevity Award, Donna Gubler, Jacob, with our Council on Aging. 20 years. Started when she was 10.
I like that trend of if she gets 10,000, then Donna gets 20,000. So that's a good
Yes.
trend we should start
Yes, we're
tonight.
starting to gain
It's like the price is right. you
That's
know?
a lot better, yeah. It's my honor tonight to recognize Donna as a valuable member of our team. Donna works in our Hurricane Senior Center, and she has been with us for 20 years, and she started as a Meals on Wheels driver, and then moved up to a secretary in the center support, and currently serves as the center supervisor role for the Hurricanes Center. And Donna helps people out, and she touches hundreds of people's lives every day with her team and her hard work and dedication. There's nothing that's below Donna. She would, if we need to, she would go in there and do the dishes and go back and help cook and organize. And if we don't have enough food, she'll figure it out. And the east end of the county can be a little bit of a challenging because it gets pretty rural pretty quick. And it's never been a problem for her to be able to make sure that those seniors on that end of the county get a hot meal delivered to them. So I'm extremely proud to have her part of our team, and the hard dedication that she has provided over the last 20 years. She's just a great asset to our team. So Donna Gubler.
All right.
Very good. Mr. Chairman, given the flow of our meeting and because I'd like to make a motion that we move public comment to this point in our agenda. If that's okay, and then we can proceed. We might be here a while longer. There's some people that have
Second that motion.
appointments.
We have a motion and a second to change the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes. All right, so public comment, which we've had to forego or delay for a few meetings now due to other constraints. Luckily, most of these people, I think, we just kept the same list, and hopefully they were all contacted. Hopefully they've been able to make it, but it's been a couple months, so if not, we hope they'll sign back up another time, or maybe their issue's been addressed. Person number one is Don Bush. I see Don here today. Going once. All right. Person number two, Alexis Entz, for 2 minutes.
Okay, I just want to say thanks for the opportunity. It's been a couple months, so I've had some time to think about this. And I wanted to start by thanking Chair Snow for your help with something that I'm very passionate about, which is protecting children. I appreciate that you've been a huge help on the bills that we've been trying to work on at the legislature. That's really been meaningful and moved this discussion along and really helped us to gather resources, so I really appreciate that. Today, I would like to ask the county for some help on this. I would like to see the county do a resolution for protecting children in our public spaces, where it's a vested interest of any government to keep in mind the safety and the health and the protection and well-being of children, and where we have in recent events had public events that have promoted obscene language or mature, hostile, or sexualized environment for children, I would ask you to consider a resolution to promote a healthy environment for our children in Washington County. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jordan Hess. I don't see Jordan here either. Jordan's a little busy right now. Kurt Ivey, Councilman Ivey, sorry, from Washington City.
Commissioners, it's really good to be here with you today in this beautiful new building. You know, we had a conversation a couple of months ago with Darren Prince, and my heart's been full ever since. That was such a good meeting to be able to meet him and to be able to rally around the idea of economic development for our area. You know, as you know, I have a unique situation where I serve on the board here in St. George, and I'm very involved with the chamber in Washington. And we see this as a great opportunity to serve our community with you as you bring Darren on. You know, as we work hard together as electeds to keep our taxes low, we recognize that 65% of the income that we get into a municipal, specifically Washington, comes from sales tax. And so if we want to offset the costs of public safety, police and fire, and all those necessary amenities that we have to keep us safe, then we have to be prepared to backload our budget so that we don't have to raise taxes. And I just want you to know I appreciated that conversation. You know, we look forward to a very good relationship with the county and with our other partners as we build out towards the Arizona border and some of our unincorporated ground in the fields and around. But just on a personal note, I want you to know how much I appreciate you and all that you do for our county. I, Nicole, miss you at the chamber. Anyway, I appreciate this opportunity to visit with you and appreciate it very much. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman. Haley Kaplan. I did see her. There.
Hello, thank you. I hope I haven't missed the deadline for this because, like you said, it was delayed, but I will be brief. I live in Santa Clara City, and our city council, despite the opposition from the residents, passed 1% sales tax increase onto you guys to vote on putting on the ballot, is my understanding. Washington City voted against it 5-0. So, but I would just ask that you guys vote no on that or decline that effort right now. As we know, with these economic times, things are tough, and I think that our city governments can cut spending before we ask the residents to raise that tax. And certainly we can find a way to fund our public safety first and cut those luxuries. So I would just appreciate your no vote on that, and I appreciate all you do for Utah's Dixie. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Haley. Next is Lisa Sandberg. Lisa, how are you?
Thank you so much for giving us time to come now so we can go and watch our debate that we need to watch at 6. I appreciate that. When I first called to see if I could get on the agenda, I had something I wanted to talk about. So now I'm going to hurry and do that one fast because I got something else I want to talk about as well. I have been an election worker, poll worker, for almost 30 years. I started out clear back when we did it in our neighborhoods, and have watched as it's changed throughout the years and how the process has changed. And I've been watching over the last year how you guys have received a lot of comment, a lot of public comment. And I just wanted to tell you thank you for listening, and not just listening, but I know, Adam, all of you spent a lot of time at the legislature trying to get things addressed that you had been given, and there were a lot of laws passed that I think you guys had a lot to do with, so I wanted to thank you for that. And I've loved working with Melanie. I was telling her she looked so cute on the camera. Anyway, but the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, and I texted you about it when I was down in Vegas a month ago, but first thing, pickleball. I have to talk about pickleball. I wanted to thank you for the subsidizing the city of St. George to add on to the pickleball courts out in Little Valley. Every day I am there, it is full to the brim. And I'm so grateful that we're getting those new courts and they're doing the construction, and I'm so excited they're going to be here. But when I was down in Vegas, I went to a tournament down there, and it was called the Commissioner's Cup. And I would just encourage you to consider holding a Commissioner's Cup tournament here in St. George. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Mayor Cress Staley. Impeccable timing. It's like a gift.
Mr. Chair, commissioners, staff, it's an honor to be here. I wanted to speak about our most precious resource here in the desert, and that is water. And certainly we've been very blessed with unprecedented rain and moisture and snowpack, and so we see our reservoirs filling up, and that's really exciting. It's encouraging. But as we go forward, I want to just be on the record just for all of us to make sure that as a county, we keep our eye on the ball and long term. I mean, it's been said that if you have water, you have many problems, but if you don't have water, you have one problem. So I just, commissioners, I appreciate your leadership. I know I have the opportunity to serve with you, Commissioner Iverson, on the Washington County Water Conservancy District, and I see the other commissioners at a lot of those meetings, and we're making a lot of progress. I think we're trying to be very good stewards with our water. The landscape conservation ordinance that the municipalities have all initiated is going to be really helpful as we try to keep our economic engine going forward while having new residents use less water. And then I think what I'm excited about, a lot of us have kind of a farming heritage, and I look back to the community that I represented in the fields, and I see those alfalfa fields, those hay fields, and I think back to what was once an old open ditch canal. And I even have pictures there at the Washington City Hall that show the men with shovels and the teams with horses and the work that our predecessors did to build that canal. And I fast forward to today, and I think the undertaking of our time will be that regional reuse system. And so with your leadership, and I know the municipalities across the county are on board with you as we try to work towards that undertaking that will benefit future generations, and that's our regional reuse system. So I look forward to working with you on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor. That was a fun canal to toot, too. That was back as a kid. Our own Ron Whitehead on the roads. Citizen Whitehead right now.
I happened to be with Mayor Staley's dad and his uncle one time cementing the sides in that canal down in there. I was just a wee boy then, but I remember doing it. So I came to talk to you today about something along the lines of a water issue. We're still doing road repairs from all the water we've had. We're getting out to the outer areas and starting to grade the rough spots out of the road. Todd was here. I was hoping Todd would be through so I could say we're going to start this contract to repair some of the roads. Now I just have to wait and hope you guys pass this contract so we can do it. We're going to start working, if you pass this, in the area of Mataqua Road. We've got some work to do on the Mataqua Road on the culverts there where it crosses the Santa Clara River. We've got some work to do on the Manganese crossing up to the north end of the reservoir. We'll have to fix those culverts a little bit. And then the general steam crossing up to the bottom of Vale Hill where you cross the creek up there. We've got to put another big pipe in there and get that fixed back up from the flooding too. And then back down around the center of Gunlock, we've got a lot of drainage culverts that go into the river. We've got to get those cleaned out and take care of that. And it's not just on the west side. We got stuff on the east side, and that area is still struggling with water. One of our favorite playgrounds is to go up on Kolob Mountain when it gets hot and that, but the water's still running alongside the roads up there. Everything's wet. It's working its way off, but our roads are still wet. And we're still going to have to enforce our county ordinance that keeps heavy traffic off that road until the 1st of July. And I think this year that might not even be enough. It's so wet out there that it'll do damage to our roads if we let them on there. So appreciate the people watching where they're driving. If the road looks too rough, don't go down it. Wait till we get it fixed up a little bit. And if it's wet, don't try and go down it either, so somebody has to come pull you out. We've got a lot of work to do, and we're getting there. So be patient, and we'll try and get everything done. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Rusty Hughes. I see Rusty here. Yeah.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to say a few words about Washington City and economic development. I want to start just by saying that we really appreciate, both as the Economic Development Director of Washington City and also as a resident there, we really appreciate the Commission's support on our recent RS Southwest Logistics Center. It's underway, and we should have the mass grading is going on, and it should be, they have a really tight timeline, so it should be going quickly. I just wanted to note a couple of things about Washington City. Our focus in Washington City is really threefold. We want to increase and strengthen the city sales tax base, property tax base, and buying power through well-paying jobs. This will alleviate some of the issues we have with traffic. We're about 98% residential in Washington City, even though sometimes you don't know when you're in Washington City and when you're in St. George. We do share a 14-mile border, and most of that commercial is on the St. George side. They have actually, the last figure I looked at was that 86% of all commercial development is within St. George for all of Washington County. So now that Washington City is the second largest, as we are a growing city and we are the second largest city, we're really looking to improve that sales tax base. The reason why is because the cost to service that residential is not sustainable in the long term. For every dollar that comes in in revenue for the city, it costs the city about $1.16 for residential. So we do need that commercial. It helps offset property taxes and helps keep those low for our residents. And so these projects that we have are really important, and we really appreciate your support. We do have freeway frontage and some projects, and then we also have a resource for the public in general, that if you go to washingtoncity.org /ED for economic development, there's an interactive map there that will show you all of the developments that are going on in Washington City. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Rusty. And Ryan Davis. Ryan Davis here. We have a Ryan Hatch. Not close enough though. All right.
Ryan Sullivan, maybe.
We have Ryan Sullivan, but also not the right one. All right, well, thank you for your comments, and with that, we'll go back to, let's see, we're now at item number 6, Emergency Services Report from our dear Sheriff, Sheriff Brooksby.
So I'm going to assume Brittany's been working overtime down at tourism, because we had been averaging 8 to 12 search and rescue calls a month, and this month we have 27. So a significant increase. So we're at a total of 84 for this year. I think in our highest year in 2020, we're about 174 is the highest. So if we stay on track, we're going to get close to that. So if Brittany would quit advertising, it would be okay.
She's taking it personal, Sheriff.
Yeah, no, you're good. I think with a lot of the runoff has been part of it. Just at Gunlock Falls, we've had 6 rescues this month. A couple of those very serious. 4 in Snow Canyon. Our Swift Water team, which we don't use very often. I'm glad we don't, but when we need them, we really need them. Because of the high water flow in the Virgin River, we had 3 Swift Water calls this last month. I believe the month prior we had 5, which is highly unusual. But because of that, so we had a call down by Bloomington Walmart where we've got a father and 2 young kids in a raft that had flipped over. They ended up landing kind of on an island in the middle. Well, law enforcement shows up, and then what? They don't have any tools or training, so that sparked a conversation with Sergeant Cashin. We're getting all the deputies throw bags and some basic training for Swift Water so they can help out if they happen to be the closest one there. A couple of UTV accidents on Sand Hollow, which is common. One other thing I'll point out, we had a deputy that was in Washington City, happened to be the closest law enforcement entity to a drowning, just a residential. So the deputy went in the backyard, found a middle-aged man underwater, proceeds to strip off his duty gear, jumps in and pulls the guy out. They were able to get vitals back, and he was transported by the ambulance. So that's, he woke up that morning and didn't have an idea that he was going to be jumping in a swimming pool later that afternoon. So Washington City chief sent over a nice letter thanking him and his efforts. As far as in-county residents. Out of those 27, 9 were in-county residents, 14 were out of county, and 8 were out of state, 0 internationals. A couple highlights. We had a drowning of a 12-year-old female in Gunlock Falls. Luckily, some people out there had ended up pulling her out, but her vitals were very weak. She ended up being transported to St. George Regional, and fortunately, she did well enough that she ended up released from the hospital the next day. So we're glad to see happy endings, right? We had an injured hiker up Water Canyon out by Hilldale. Pre-SAR 9, I used to say that anytime we get a water canyon rescue, it's going to be a 10-hour. We've had people actually stay the night up there on some rescues. So because of the train, we ended up calling Star 9, and within 40 minutes, we had that closed out. So another great use. They actually helped us just today on a canoe that had tipped over kind of by Quail Lake Quick Stop in Hurricane. They ended up finding it was a lost child that the family didn't know if we'd gone downriver or out playing. The DPS helicopter was the first to spot the boy and get rescue crews in there. So great benefit to our area. We had an aircraft crash, which doesn't happen very often, but we've had a couple this last year. One was fatal out there in New Harmony, and fortunately, I'm following this call, on the radio and our CAD screen, and anytime you hear an airplane crash, you usually think, well, that's not going to be a good outcome. This guy happened to, he walked away, didn't need any medical attention or anything, so we got lucky on that one. Another drowning in Gunlock Falls is a 23-year-old male. Between search and rescue, Santa Clara Ivans and Dameron Valley Fire, we ended up getting into the helicopter, so life flight, and they ended up life flighting into the helicopter. They would have had some vitals to do that, so another. We put out quite a bit of social media stuff on the falls, trying to encourage people to be safe. You never know, if you're going to step and slip with some of the moss up there, but 6 calls in a month, that's highly unusual. And this is kind of on the back end, right? The fall should be slowing down here shortly. We had a boating incident in Sand Hollow where 7 individuals on a boat, their boat began taking on water and sinking. The park rangers were able to rescue the individuals, but the boat did sink. So we used our dive team to fish boats out of the lake. About 5 years ago, we partnered with Water Conservancy. They bought us some equipment to help out with the contaminants that comes from those oil, gasoline, so they can do a buoy that will soak up a lot of that fuel and oil to try and keep our water clean and drinkable. Another fall at Gunlock Falls. This is a 43-year-old who had fallen, ended up breaking both of his legs and had some head injury. They ended up being life flighted out. And another one at Gunlock Falls where an 18-year-old female jumped off a cliff and ended up instantaneously just shattering her femur. We've had some conversation about this in the off season. So some of those falls just under the surface have big boulders that people aren't aware of. We had a couple deaths 2 years ago from that. People jump in. So the guy ahead of me just went in, he came out fine. Well, I jump in and I just didn't quite get out far enough and hit one of those boulders. So we've talked about going and blowing those up in the off season, kind of, have access to stuff like that. And I think with county roads, we could probably make those go away in the off season. So hopefully we can prevent some of those.
Let's do that this year.
Huh?
Let's do that.
I'll invite you guys out there too.
I want to come in,
always fun.
at least watch.
Yeah.
It'll be a big
From a
experience.
distance, it'll cause some frag. Any questions for me on that?
No, thanks for everything you
Crazy
do.
what you do.
Yeah, and as always, we thank you for your deputies and for everybody and all of the search and rescue. I was actually up on Kolob. I don't know if you had Star 9 out on Sunday at all, but it flew over anyway. Maybe they were just sightseeing. And I was just thinking, man, I'm so glad we got that helicopter. Because somebody, if it was a rescue, somebody is really happy to hear that. To hear that bird come over their head. So
we have been doing some extra patrols up there because Ron and his crew, with all the water coming off there, that apparently the roads are real sensitive to heavy vehicles, so we've been keeping an eye on that. I guess it's posted at the bottom, like not a gross vehicle weight, but a type of vehicle. I think we need to work on that a little bit to maybe fine tune that so we have some bigger teeth to enforce that. So, but we have been doing some extra patrol up there.
Thank you,
Thank
Sheriff.
you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Sheriff, for everything you do.
all right, item number 7. consideration of purchase request. Ray, usually you're fairly early. An hour and a half in, that's,
You're making me work overtime today.
I know.
The first one I have here is for the roads department. This is for equipment fuel. This is for $26,822.02. The next one is some leftover fare expenses. This is for hotel rooms for various needs. For example, the Chris Jansen concert and his hotel room needs. This is for $19,662.48. The next one is for Legacy Park. This is for the stall barn bathroom renovation. This is for various partitions, benches, showers, floor, epoxy flooring, repairs, so on and so forth. This is for $38,183. The next one is also for Legacy Park. This is for the indoor arena renovation. They're installing metal panels on the east side of the indoor arena and on the west side by the bleachers of the indoor arena. This is for $43,005. The next one is for tourism. This one is for media video editing for the tourism highlight reels. This is for $15,750. The next one is for Golf Week video and print ads. This is for $34,999.94. And the final one is for catering for the NACO WIR conference. This is for $17,458.20. And unless there's any questions, that is all.
Okay, thank you.
Pretty straightforward. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the purchase requests as they've been presented to us by Ray.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you, Rick.
Number 8 is report and consideration of the 2023 Washington County tax sale. Clerk Auditor Ryan Sullivan.
Thanks. As we came into this, it turned out pretty good doing this online this year. This was the first year that we conducted the tax sale exclusively online. We had a lot more participants. We opened it up to the world that way, but we ended up having 12 properties that were initially listed on the site, and our treasurer and I worked really hard to, even once those initial ones got on the site, to work with those property owners to get them off of the sale list. There was only 2 properties that actually went through the process. The list started out with well over 50, and we knocked doors, made lots of phone calls, got people to pay, and got some people on some payment plans. But the reason this is on the agenda tonight is these 2 properties that sold. I wanted to go through each one of them one by one because the commission has to choose whether or not to ratify the sales that took place. If you choose not to ratify the sale, as you know, the properties may be struck back to the county. From everything I've seen, I'm recommending that we ratify the 2 sales. But the first one, I'm shaking my head still at some of the prices that people paid for these, but one of them is located off the St. George Boulevard, and it's essentially a cliffside. It's up above the RV park up here off the boulevard. What was that? Hillside Palms. And the property taxes that were due and the fees was $313.17. It ended up selling for $12,675. And I guess congratulations, you own a hillside now to that person. The other property is a pretty old subdivision that's been recorded for quite some time out in the south of Rockville. It doesn't have any utilities. I guess what I'd say is it's a dry lot. It's actually zoned open space. It sold for $42,800, and the starting bid, which was the taxes and the fees that were owed on that, was $652.04. So I wanted to point out too that the county doesn't get a windfall of that because these properties get bid up. The excess money, less the taxes and the fees that were owed on it, get sent back to the owner that is losing it to a tax sale. The two owners have been contacted. They're fully aware that this is happening with the property, so it's not like a surprise to them. But one of them is co-owned by someone that is actually incarcerated in a federal penitentiary, so he's going to be pretty popular when he gets this check for $42,000 in his commissary account. So.
That's a lot of commissary.
Anyhow, do you have any questions on any of these
So
two properties?
on both these cases, those people are fully aware.
There is one. Are you talking about the buyers?
Yes.
Yes. I actually said more than I probably should have to one of the buyers, a young man, and asked him if he knew what he was buying, and
He's excited.
he's excited, and I tried to talk him out of it, but he was.
I
he was
guess
pretty
it's going to be a
adamant he wanted
win-win for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So your recommendation
is to ratify these two sales, and if you choose to do that, then I would prepare some auditor's tax deeds to transfer the ownership to the new owners.
Well, I move that we approve those for, indeed, your ratification later of the two parcels discussed. The others mentioned as well, but those in particular for Washington County tax sale 2023.
I will second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Ryan. Also, Ryan, consideration of the 2023 certified tax rates for Washington County.
All right, so there was a couple iterations of this, so hopefully you got the latest and greatest. I think Sarah got that in your packets there, but this is just pertaining to the Washington County's portion of our tax rates. And there's four rates that Washington County is responsible for. 3 of those get reported as into one rate. That's why the graph shows that those 3 go into the one. But I'll just go through each one individually quickly. Our general operations, the certified tax rate that I'm recommending that we accept, that you all accept, I guess you can choose not to, is 0.000366, which is down about 2.7% compared to last year, and a lot of that is due to a little bit of market value increase, not much. You can see in the prior year that the rate dropped significantly, and that's due to the market values that we were working off of in 2020, that occurred in 2021, and we know that in 2021 things were still appreciating quite a bit. So in order to make it so that entities don't collect a windfall of money, the rate gets reduced when the taxable values go up, and it works in reverse. When the values go down, the rates can adjust up, so the entities can collect about the same amount, have a steady stream of income to run services. So that is that rate. The next one is our general obligation bonds, which is kind of exciting to talk about. We're getting really close to paying these off. Washington County has 2 general obligation bonds that are outstanding. We have some fund balance that we have saved over the years, and we're going to be able to start using that to help pay some of these bond payments. So you can see that I was able to back the rate off quite significantly, 61%. So that's essentially a tax cut for Washington County on this particular rate. So we'll be collecting $590,000 to service those bonds, and the rest, which would be about $750,000-ish, I guess, we'll be paying from our fund balance. One of the bonds is scheduled to be paid off in 2024, and the other one is 2026. Unfortunately, they're not callable bonds. We can't pay them off early, but we can stop collecting the revenue, the tax on it, so that we'll. All right, the library, that's just the certified rate. It follows the same trend as the general operations. The rate on that is .000127. I don't know if I mentioned the rate for the go bonds, but it's .000016. And then the last one is the county assessing and collecting rate, which again, the certified rate on that is .000225. Do we have any questions on these rates?
Yeah.
All right, so again, I think we're looking for a recommendation. I'm recommending that we accept the certified tax rates as presented.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make that motion that we adopt 2023 certified tax rates that has been presented to us by our clerk auditor.
I'll second that motion with this comment. Ryan, thank you, because you were thrown into this, and even though you had a lot of experience, this is the most critical batch of numbers for all of the residents, and keeping with the trend, as people can see, maybe they can't, but we can see that every year we've adjusted that down. As of course we've grown, and that's helped, but I couldn't be more proud of the fact that we will maintain that status, at least as far as the county goes, as the lowest tax county in the state for our citizens.
Well said. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Ryan. Item number 10 is consideration of resolution number R 2023-3139, a resolution appointing a member to the Washington County Library Board. Al, where's that?
Thought we'd lost him there for a minute.
Well, thank you. Under state statute, library board members can serve up to 8 years or 2 four-year terms. Rob Golding is the outgoing board member that we're replacing. He's done a good job. And Darren Larson is a former city councilman in Hurricane and is community-minded and would be a good replacement on the library board. So we put that before you.
Very good. Thank you, Alan. I agree with Alan. Darren Larson will do a great job representing kind of that Hurricane area, Hurricane-LaVerkin area. And he's already been serving on the board temporarily, and now we're giving him a full term. So, Mr. Chairman, it's my motion that we adopt Resolution R-2023-3139, a resolution appointing a member to the Washington County Library Board, Darren Larson.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan.
Thanks, Alan.
Item number 11 is consideration of resolution R 2023-3140, a resolution authorizing the farmland assessment administrator to sign on behalf of the county assessor for Utah Farmland Assessment Act purposes. You know, you are not Devin. What I've got is listed as Devin, but that's Ryan Hatch. So.
And when we were calling Ryan's, I didn't see him there.
Well, that's why I said we've got a Ryan Hatch.
Adam recognized
And
me.
then you said Ryan. So I saw Mr. Hatch in the back.
A lot of Ryans in the building.
Anyway.
Thank you, Commissioners. Again, this is just a very simple resolution that allows our Farmland Assessment Act administrator in the assessor's office to sign on behalf of the assessor in his absence. This will just help everything expedite. This is applications for FAA Greenbelt classification, as well as requests for withdrawal, which will continue the process, making sure those rollback taxes aren't slowed down in someone's absence.
Is that Mark?
That's Mark Hebbs, correct.
Okay. Anything else?
Any question on that?
No, sounds very good.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve resolution number R 2023-3140, a resolution authorizing the farmland assessment administrator to sign on behalf of the county assessor for Utah Farmland Assessment Act purposes.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Item number 12 is consideration of resolution R 2023-3141, a resolution to approve a contract between Washington County and Feller Enterprises for flood repair projects along Santa Clara River from General Steam Road to Watauga River. Todd?
Thank you, Commissioners. As Ron alluded earlier, we have 4 remaining projects along the Santa Clara River. They're General Steam Road, some plugged culverts and gunlock through the NRCS dikes, Manganese Road, and Watauga Road. They've all been partially opened, but now they need to be fully repaired. And since the water levels have finally gone down, I feel like it's a good time to get them done. We received a good quote we feel from Feller Enterprises.
Yeah.
And it's for a grand total of $100,600. We recommend approval of that contract.
Very good. It's my understanding, Todd, that they can move quickly on this as far as.
I think they want to start tomorrow morning.
Yeah,
so
that'd be great.
Okay.
Can't be too soon. Yeah, all right, well, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt resolution R-2023-3141, a resolution approving a contract between Washington County and Feller Enterprises for flood repair projects along Santa Clara River from General Steam Road to Watauga.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you,
Thank
Todd.
you much.
Item 13 is consideration of Resolution R 2023-3142, a resolution approving a design construction agreement for the rehabilitation of the hydroelectric power plant at Confluence Park.
Oh, Cameron.
Cameron, Road.
So as you guys are aware, the county owns and manages Confluence Park near Perkin and LaBerkin. And on that property sits a historic structure, the old power plant, the hydroelectric power plant. And it's on the National Registry of Historic Places, and so we've been attempting to try and restore that so that the public can enjoy that gem that we have within our county. We collected different bids to get an initial assessment of what it would take to rehabilitate the structure. The cheapest came in from MRW Design Associates at approximately $20,000. And it was 60% less than the other competing bids that we had. So we would recommend that you accept that and move forward with the rehabilitation plans for the power plant.
Very good. And if I can just chime in here. So when we say rehabilitation, the structure currently exists as far as the exterior. Cameron and his team have done a great job at basically making it so that people can see it and look inside, and we've preserved it that way. It's just a neat feature. But what we're really looking at is the roof. We have to preserve the roof so it doesn't just cave in the future. So this work is to really kind of do the engineering and give us the idea of what it's going to take to kind of really basically tighten it up so that it lasts forever and lasts going forward. But we're not necessarily going to restore the inside. This is for
Yeah, not at this point, but we do have some funds allocated for future use like that.
Very good.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve Resolution R 2023-3142, a resolution approving a design and construction agreement for the rehabilitation of the electric power plant at Confluence Park.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
MRW Design. We should comment it's MRW Design, right, Cam?
Yes.
Item number 14 is consideration of Resolution R 2023-3143, a resolution demonstrating Washington County support and approval of TRT funding for the Greater Zion Golf production. Sarah?
Greetings, Commissioners. It is that time of the year where the State Office of Tourism offers up co-op marketing dollars, allowing us to apply for funds up to $250,000. And this resolution is simply asking you for your formal commitment of those matching dollars so we can double the impact. This year's application is going to be around the upcoming golf events coming to the county, and hopefully being able to ride a little bit on their coattails to tell our entire golf story through a golf documentary, and really kind of showcasing the area in that way, and also allowing all of the other golf courses in the area plus the adventure to really benefit from those events. It will include production of said video, distribution as well as marketing around that video. So again, just looking for your formal commitment of those tourism dollars that are essentially committed already in our budget, but just need the formal consent.
Sarah, you mentioned 250,000 as matching funds?
I'm sorry, it's 250,000 is the cap on that.
Oh.
And we're putting all of that project into this, just feeling that it's a one-time, one-chance type of opportunity. And really think we can do a bang up job on that with those kind of dollars.
The resolution says 275 of our commitment, so is it, which number? We
I
just wanna make
believe that's a typo. I believe it's up to 250.
Okay. Well, we can note that.
Sorry about that.
No, it's good. What's the typo with decimal point or zero?
We're
That's
adding
very
25,000.
important.
Commissioners, if you could include that in the motion, we'll make sure to make that change.
Well, then I'll make that motion that we approve resolution number R 2023-3143, a resolution demonstrating Washington County support and approval of TRT funding for the Greater Zion Golf production to the tune of $250,000 for promotion and marketing.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Item 15, Leslie, come get comfortable, is consideration of resolution R 2023-3144, resolution approving TRT funding for the town square improvements. Leslie?
Yes, if I could just note some things that are going to be the same for the next few agenda items. This agenda item and the next three are all through our destination development program that municipal entities can apply for funds to help develop a destination, a park, a trail, other things for our TRT funds. And we've used that program, as was earlier mentioned, to help with pickleball courts and such around the county. So this particular one grants some funding, $200,000 to the city of St. George to help with maintenance and repairs and some upgrades at Town Square Park. And that area we've used heavily for several key events, including Ironman and other things. So, and all of these agenda items, 15 through 18, have been approved by the Tourism Advisory Board. St. George City, this particular interlocal agreement, they haven't quite finished reviewing, but we expect to hear from them very soon.
If I could cut in there, Commissioners, because we're still making some fine tweaks on those agreements, if we could approve subject to legal review, that would be helpful.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt resolution R-2023-3144, resolution approving TRT funding for town square improvements subject to legal review.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And I'd also like, we deliver the check and all those good
Yeah.
promotional checks. How did that go off, right, as I was, anyway.
Thumbs up. Commissioner?
Well, St. George, you know,
It's
just
all,
know.
sorry.
I do think we should deliver them. I second that motion. I think that's a good idea. Item number 16 is consideration of resolution R 2023-3145, a resolution approving TRT funding for the construction of an interpretive trail at Pioneer Park.
Yes, and this one will have the same consideration on it that St. George City is not quite finished reviewing that interlocal agreement. But this is $800,000 to do a hard surface trail through Pioneer Park, connecting the westernmost parking area that also has the underpass under Red Hills Parkway, and connects into that paved bike system, and then connecting it across to the bathroom on their other parking area that also has the awning on the east side, and then continuing agreements, hopefully to get it all the way to the Red Desert Gardens. And it creates an accessible route through that park, and it will have interpretive panels along it as well, highlighting history, geology, and other things for that. So I'm excited about that.
This is actually a really good project. Pioneer Park gets a tremendous visitor. A lot of people don't realize how many visitors go there. And then also, I think as part of the Dixie Rock, it is going to be kind of a historical monument as well, preserved. So,
I'm glad you mentioned that. Mr. Chair, I just want to say that for those who are listening or who may later read the minutes, some people might say, I'm not spending my tax dollars on a trail, or I'm not spending my tax dollars for town square, or whatever the next things we're going to read. I just want to read the first two paragraphs of this resolution. The whereas clause, it says, Washington County receives tourism tax revenues, TRT, that may only be spent to promote and establish tourism and recreation in the county. Whereas the County Tourism Tax Advisory Board, otherwise known as the TAB Board, shall make recommendations to the county legislative body, ourselves, on the best use of TRT. People have to come, in this case St. George City, and make their presentation and tie it to tourism. And that these funds that are being spent for these projects are those who have paid this tax, which generally 99.9% are those who have visited our area. And while those visitors may have paid for this and will use it, as you stress, we get to use it the rest of the time for free. And I think we need to make sure that the public knows where these funds come from, and the expense that is allocated has gone through this process to get to this point. Having said that, then, I move that we approve resolution number R 2023-3145, a resolution approving TRT funding for the construction of an interpretive trail at Pioneer Park.
subject to
legal review.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Item 17 is consideration of resolution R 2023-3146, a resolution approving TRT funding for the construction of a parking lot at Canyon View Park.
I'd also add that all funds that the county awards through this program are matched at least 1-to-1 by the applicant. But for Canyon View Park, this is with Santa Clara City. They have reviewed and approved that agreement, and it's an ongoing project for them in the very popular BMX. It was part of Canyon View Park. Brings in a lot of good visitors and a lot of good use there too, to get what has been dirt lots and some difficult parking situations finished, improved, paved, nice, with some connecting trails and everything.
Yeah, this is definitely needed. We have an inside joke that this should be at least $1 billion worth of economic impact yet.
Kids love it, for
Yeah.
sure.
Anyway, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt resolution R-2023-3146, a resolution approving TRT funding for the construction of a parking lot at Canyon View Park, and this is also subject to legal review.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Last one, Leslie, you're almost there. Consideration of resolution R 2023-3147, a resolution approving TRT funding for the construction of a bike lane and multi-use path on Old Dixie Highway 91.
This is another good one. This is with Ivans, and they have reviewed and approved that agreement. This will go towards the larger highway widening project there. So this will help add bike lanes on both sides, and then more particularly paved multi-use bicycle path that will go 3 miles approximately to connect to Fire Reservoir.
Very
That
good.
will be exciting.
I move that we approve resolution number R 2023-3147, a resolution approving TRT funding for the construction of a bike lane and multi-use path on Old Dixie Highway 91, subject to legal review.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And last but not least, also from the Tourism Department, consideration of resolution R 2023-3148, a resolution approving the TAB recommendation to pursue a marketing agreement with Black Desert Resort, Chad. Good to see you upright.
It's good to be upright, trust me.
Yes,
So,
yes, congratulations on your recovery.
yeah, thank you. So this is a resolution entering into a marketing agreement with Black Desert Resort with upcoming tournaments, golf tournaments with the LPGA starting in 2025 and to be announced next week, PGA starting in the fall of 24. These two tournaments will happen through 24 and 25. We'll enter into a marketing agreement and a subsequent advertising agreement for Washington County and the Greater Zion Tourism Office with these upcoming tournaments.
So we're going in with a 2-year agreement, that's what we're looking
Yeah, so we'll have, the agreement will be, and we'll start working through this agreement once these funds are approved through the TRT for the fall of 24 and the spring of 25 and the fall of 25. So we'll only do 3 tournaments, and then we have first right of refusal after that, after 25.
Well, great.
Well, with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution R-2023-3148, a resolution approving the TAB recommendation to pursue a marketing agreement with Black Desert Resort.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Chad. With that, any commissioner reports of anything they need to discuss or needs to be brought before the public? Hearing none, we will adjourn until next time. Also noting that meetings are rebroadcast daily on TDS cable channels 22 and 108 at 10, 2, and 5:30 for your viewing.
Mr. Chairman, right before you give that gavel, so next month, because of 4th of July, our next meeting is on the 21st of July, right?
21st.
So we'll have one meeting in July.
Well, that's good, so we can all celebrate. 18th, July 18th.
Okay, very good.
The next commission meeting will be July 18th. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.